All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're diving back into the fascinating and fiercely competitive world of higher education with a brand new explainer. We're going to contextualize Chang Gung University, or CGU, and figure out its true standing among Taiwan's elite academic heavyweights. You know, prestige isn't just about centuries of history anymore. It's about strategy, deep pockets, and as you'll see, even where the train lines run.
We've got a packed agenda to get through. First, we'll look at the context and popularity metrics. Then, the return of their medical sciences, followed by medical and biotech departments. After that, we'll check out engineering and AI, pivot to management and design, and finally, wrap up with the Kuhn Payne Group and some data trends.
Starting off with Section 1, Context and Popularity Metrics, Understanding the Benchmark.
So, as a quick refresher, this explainer is a direct continuation of our previous work. Remember how we analyzed the popularity of departments across 16 top-tier schools? We're talking places like National Taiwan University, Chengchi, Yangmin Jiaotong, and Chenkong, along with Tsinghua, Central, Taiwan Normal, Taipei U, TMU, Chengxing, Chengcheng, Sun Yat-sen, Changhua U of E, Kaohsiung Medical, Taipei U of E, and National University of Kaohsiung. Well, today, we are plugging Chang Gung University directly into that exact same framework to see exactly how its departments stack up against those heavy hitters.
Before we look at the numbers, we really need to nail down how we're actually calculating popularity. We use a popularity index. This balances two vital things. First, the sequence number, which is basically the percentile difficulty of passing that first admission stage. So, a lower number means it's much harder to get into. Second is the fill rate, or the percentage of eligible students who actually put the department on their preference list. So we're not just looking at who can get in, but how many top-tier students are actively choosing to fill these exact spots. It's a massive difference.
Now, you might be wondering, why do Chang Gung's popularity metrics initially look a bit lower, with larger sequence numbers on the spreadsheet? If you just glance at the raw math, it kind of looks a bit deflated, right?
Well, here's the context you need. CGU is being rigorously benchmarked against the absolute top 17 universities in our study. We intentionally left out a ton of regional or similarly ranked universities from this specific dataset. So a larger sequence number here just means they're competing at the tail end of the absolute top tier. It definitely does not mean their overall popularity is low. If you look at the reality of all 150-plus universities across Taiwan, Chang Gung is firmly sitting in the front-runner pack.
All right, moving on to Section 2. Medical Sciences Return, Reclaiming the Top Tier.
This chart is absolutely wild. Over the last 4 years, Chang Gung's self-pay medical department surged to rank number 2 nationally. They hit an index of 0.02907. That puts them right behind NTU Medical, and get this, they actually beat out incredible heavyweights like NYCU, NCKU, and Taipei Medical University. A massive accomplishment.
So, how exactly did they pull off this massive resurgence? The data points to two really clever reasons. First up is the traffic dividend. The new airport MRT stations at A7 and A8 literally erased the school's geographical isolation in Linkou overnight. Second was an absolutely brilliant strategic play. They decoupled their Phase 2 interview times so they wouldn't clash with the top 3 public medical schools. This meant elite students could safely apply to CGU without having to sacrifice a public school interview. Talk about a game changer.
And it's not just regular med. CGU's Chinese medicine department is incredibly strong too, hitting a highly competitive overall rank of 26. To put that into perspective, that means they are effectively going toe-to-toe with NYCU's equivalent program, which sits at rank 20.
Let's dive into Section 3, Medical and Biotech Departments, the Clinical Advantage.
Here we get to see how CGU leverages the sheer power of its guaranteed hospital internships. Their physical therapy department ranks 266, actually outperforming Kaohsiung Medical's 313. Occupational therapy is showing rock-solid stability thanks to steady national demand. Then you've got medical lab and biotech sitting at 391, trailing TMU just slightly, and medical imaging and radiology at 471, practically neck and neck with KMU. The secret sauce here? Those guaranteed practical clinical hours keep these programs incredibly popular.
Rounding out this sector, we've got to highlight a few more key programs. The nursing department is thriving, heavily boosted by aggressive hospital system subsidies despite the national nursing shortage. Respiratory therapy? That's a highly specialized niche with very strong industry demand. Their biomedical sciences program is highly competitive, sitting super close to Taiwan Normal University's equivalent. And get this, their public-funded medical track, specifically in public health, ranks an astonishing 97th.
That literally outperforms many IT and engineering departments at top public universities. No way, right?
Okay, let's pivot to Section 4, Engineering and AI Programs, Industrial Integration. Moving away from medicine, let's look at their traditional engineering core. Electrical engineering is seeing highly competitive growth against the public schools. Electronic engineering and mechanical engineering, both are holding very stable baselines. But you really need to look at chemical engineering and materials engineering. These two offer an unmatched direct employment pipeline right into the massive Formosa Plastics industrial network. That kind of job security right out of the gate gives them an incredible edge.
To keep up with the global digital transformation, CGU is adapting fast. Their Computer Science and Information Engineering Department, along with the newly minted Artificial Intelligence Department, are actively capturing students focused on the future of tech. Notice they're also offering specialized information security groups. Plus, their Biomedical Engineering Department, which offers dual degree options, perfectly bridges the gap between their clinical expertise and their engineering strengths.
Next up is Section 5, Management and Design Departments, Niche Specialization. Over in this space, CGU's Information Management Department leans heavily into medical informatics. Meanwhile, their robust Healthcare Management Department is directly rivaling programs at TMU and KMU, carving out a huge chunk of the national market share. As for business and management, they've got general, entrepreneurship, and dual degree tracks. These offer a very unique, highly practical Formosa-style management training that you really just can't find anywhere else.
Rounding out the management and design colleges, their forward-looking digital financial technology program is strategically split into groups A and B to really capture that growing fintech wave. And we absolutely have to highlight their industrial design department. They place a massive emphasis on practical product and functional design, which aligns beautifully with their own medical hardware and engineering ecosystems.
Finally, we reach Section 6, Kunpeng Group and Trends, the Data Anomalies.
We need to talk about the Kunpeng Wings Group. This was a special admissions quota specifically created for socioeconomically disadvantaged students, but it ended up being a perfect textbook example of a macroeconomic mismatch. Basically, the government allowed a national supply of disadvantaged student quotas that was literally 3 times larger than the actual number of legally eligible low-income students in all of Taiwan.
Because of this massive oversupply, tons of private universities just couldn't find enough eligible students to fill the seats. But instead of just letting those spots sit empty year after year, CGU showed some serious institutional agility. They decisively pulled the plug on the Kunpeng program in its second year. That was year 109. By halting it, they were able to reallocate those seats and optimize their overall student intake.
One last crucial note on interpreting this data. If you see very tiny popularity growth numbers across some of their engineering or nursing departments, like a tiny bump of plus 0.000129, do not misread that as stagnation. It's really just a mathematical constraint. Because the starting baseline index values were already incredibly small, the statistical room for fluctuation is naturally limited. Trust me, the momentum is absolutely still there.
So when we zoom out and look at CGU's massive resurgence in the medical field, their unshakable industrial ties with Formosa, and their clever, agile maneuvering around national quota issues, it really leaves us with a fascinating question. In today's highly competitive academic landscape, how much of a university's prestige is driven by its deep historical roots, and how much is driven purely by smart infrastructure, like a new train line, and strategic administrative timing? It's definitely something to chew on. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep questioning the data.